Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, here to compile the deals videos I've done so far for the Christmas sale 2023 over on Steam. We've done a lot, and we've kept it to under $10. Under 10, under 5, under 3, and under 2. Well, here are all of those videos compiled in one place. Enjoy, guys, and hopefully you'll follow along with the deals. There's a ton more stuff to cover. I'm probably going to be dead by the time I get to finishing up covering the sale, but yeah, that'll do it for me. Enjoy the content, guys. Peace. Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and it is that time of the year again. We got the Steam Winter Sale rolling out right now, and of course, expect a lot of coverage on this channel with the best deals that are available. We'll start off with the game deals under $10. Obviously, we'll do under 5, we'll do under 3, we'll get to all of that stuff, but starting things off with under 10, I think, is a good starting point, and we've got 15 deals here. Obviously, there's a lot more. We might go back and do another under $10 video at some point, but let's get right into it, and let's start things off with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It is 85% off for $5.99. Love me some Jedi Fallen Order. As you guys know, Jedi Survivor is in my mix for a game of the year, and while I don't think Jedi Fallen Order is as good as Survivor, obviously, Fallen Order is the first game in the series, so you should play that, and it's still a damn good game, and a lot of people do actually like Fallen Order, especially from a narrative standpoint, than Survivor. I like Survivor's narrative better, but whatever the deal is, Jedi Fallen Order is a great game. Visually looks great, the platforming is pretty good, and the combat is really, really good. I always go back to the fact that I think the map design is absolutely abysmal in this game, but outside of that, it's a damn good action title, and I would definitely recommend it at $5.99. Great price point here, is a part of EA Play as a part of their Vault catalog, but yeah, if you want to own the game, $6 is a damn good deal, so definitely would recommend that. Next up, we got BattleBit Remastered, 40% off for $8.99, a game that is still in early access, so obviously, you're paying $9 now, but this game is just going to get better and better, and it's had quite a lot of attention as a multiplayer title. You guys might know, but I'm not super into multiplayer games these days, but BattleBit Remastered is one that one of my boys kept hounding me about, and I was like, alright, I'll finally check it out. I've heard so many good things about it, jumped into it, and man, this is a game that just really, at the heart of it, showcases what fun can really be as far as multiplayer titles. It's not a game that I jumped in and took too seriously, but the visual style worked great, and it was something unique in a multiplayer game. The gameplay is just really good, and I thought it was just a really good time. Obviously, when it comes to games like this, like going forward with multiplayer games in general, I just play them for fun. I don't try to get super try-hard on it. I don't get to a point where I start raging at games, at least multiplayer titles anymore. Like, I just don't got time for that anymore. I'm out of high school, so it's like I can't live in that lifestyle anymore. But as far as a kickback and enjoy kind of multiplayer game, yeah, those I can definitely get down with. And BattleBit Remastered, I feel like, was one that a lot of people can enjoy. I would recommend you to get some of your buddies on it as well, and jumping in together is a great time. $9, sub $10, great deal. And again, it's just gonna get better and better, so you buy it now, and you're getting an evolving experience. So check that out for sure. Next up, quite possibly the best deal in this entire sale, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is 90% off for $5.99. Look, this deal is straight up highway robbery. The fact you get Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 for $6, $2 a piece, that is ridiculous. You also get all of the game's respective DLC content. Mass Effect is awesome. It's really BioWare at their pinnacle, and yes, say what you want about BioWare recently, and I certainly have. You know, I'm not a fan of them teasing the next Mass Effect game on N7 Day just because it's N7 Day and it's going to come out in 2046, but you know, I revere the days of BioWare at their absolute height, and the Mass Effect trilogy was them at their height. Mass Effect 1 shows its age, but Mass Effect 2, man, it's still one of the best games legitimately ever created. It is tremendous, and Mass Effect 3 is really good as well. To get all 3 games at $5.99, again, straight up highway robbery here. Definitely go check that out. Next up, we got Doom Eternal. It is 75% off for $9.99. That is the standard edition of the game. They do have a deluxe edition for $17.49. Over-the-top first-person shooter. I know there's been controversy attached to this game, but as far as the game itself goes, it is a very, very enjoyable first-person shooter. Over the top, mayhem at its core, and just the game that I feel like anybody can jump into and really enjoy. Can get fairly challenging as well. $9.99 for Doom Eternal, definitely a good shout. Definitely play Doom 2016 first, if you can. If you want to jump right into Eternal, hell, you could do that as well. Next up, we got Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, 50% off for $9.99. I obviously grew up watching Dragon Ball, not as much as, let's say, Naruto. I don't have the nostalgia with Dragon Ball that I do with Naruto, but still, like, Dragon Ball was a huge part of my childhood. I feel like I put it lightly just because, like, Naruto literally was my childhood, but Xenoverse 2 is a great game. Obviously, it's a little bit different than your traditional Dragon Ball title. You create your own custom character, you do various missions, and the main story has you correct the timeline of Dragon Ball. It's pretty well done. There's some interesting twists and turns to it, and with the other missions, you can play as some of your regular characters. There's a sizable amount of DLC to this game, which is wild to think about. It came out back in 2016, but they've released so much DLC that they literally have Gohan Beast Mode in this game now, which Gohan Beast Mode, or Beast Form Gohan, they just introduced that in the most recent movie, and I watched that in theaters, and I actually kind of liked it. I know a lot of people were down on the art style, but I kind of liked that movie, but a Beast Mode Gohan doing the special beam cannon, I thought was pretty sick, but yeah, spoiler alert, but nonetheless, Xenoverse 2, $9.99, definitely a good buy. If you want all the content, the special edition is $30. Next up, we got Grand Theft Auto 4, the complete edition, at 70% off for $5.99. Whenever I talk about GTA 4, I always mention that I think GTA 5 is a substantially better game, but that also definitely does annoy some people. Some people, like, just swear by GTA 4, and I enjoyed GTA 4. It's just, I played it back in 2008 when it initially came out. I remember being super young at that point, and, like, just seeing that GTA 4 got 9s and mostly 10 out of 10s everywhere. It was mostly like a 10 out of 10 across the board. And really, like, I just remember playing it and I'm like, yo, this game is not a 10 out of 10. And obviously I was young back then, but I went back and played it, you know, when I was a little bit older as well, and I still didn't think it was a 10 out of 10. However, if you think of it at that level, more power to you. It is an enjoyable open world game, and the fact is, this is $6 and it gets you GTA 4 and episodes from Liberty City. That's a really, really good value proposition, so I would say check it out. You know, hopefully GTA 6 won't have to wait too long for that to come to PC. Next up, a game that's kind of on the opposite side of GTA, Mafia Definitive Edition, in the sense that it's got that mature tone, but at the same time, Mafia is more of a shorter, streamlined game, and that's definitely true with Mafia Definitive Edition. This is a game you can legitimately complete in 8 to 10 hours, but I feel like these days, the idea of a game being short isn't as hated on as it was back then, or back in the day, I should say, just because I feel like everybody these days has crazy backlogs, or maybe that's just a product of the time that I am a little bit older now, and a lot of you guys are older, and you have disposable income, and you have responsibilities, and you know, you can't spend 50 plus hours on every game. So sometimes when you come across an 8 to 10 hour game like Mafia, a Definitive Edition that gets to the point, tells a good story, has good gameplay, really good voice acting, sometimes that's appreciated. And I think even at a $10 price point, I would say check it out. They do have the Mafia Trilogy on sale, which gets you Mafia 1, 2, and 3 for $19.79, essentially eliminating one game from like, you actually buy one game. It's essentially you get all 3 for the price of 2, which I think is pretty damn good. Really enjoyed Mafia 2. Mafia 3 had its issues, but nonetheless, for the under $10, Mafia Definitive Edition is a great buy. Next up, want to give a shout out to Devil May Cry HD Collection, 67% off for $9.89, and then Devil May Cry 5 is also 67% off for $9.89. Mentioned DMC 5 a lot, but with the HD Collection, you get DMC 1, 2, and 3. Generally speaking, everybody hates DMC 2. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but DMC 1 and 3 are classic action titles, which is kind of interesting how that turned out. Like, DMC 2 was just at such a lower level than the other 2 titles, but nonetheless, DMC 1 was great, DMC 3 is really good, and the timeline to DMC is just completely all over the place, but nonetheless, Devil May Cry is an enjoyable action series. It's just with these 3 titles, even as an HD collection, they absolutely do show their age. Wonky camera angles and visuals aren't anything blow away, but they're still enjoyable action titles. If you're looking to just get into Devil May Cry, honestly, I'd probably just jump right into Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5 is one of the best action games I've legitimately ever played. It's got a phenomenal soundtrack, great gameplay, over the top, visuals are pretty good. I was never crazy about the DMC story either, so it's like, from a story standpoint, like, just jumping right into DMC 5, I think, you know, check out the gameplay and you'll be hooked into it, and then you can circle your way back and play the other games to get the cohesive narrative, but nonetheless, DMC 5, great pickup, and HD Collection, if you do want to check that out. Next up, a couple of classic Final Fantasy titles. Final Fantasy VIII Remastered is 60% off for $7.99, and Final Fantasy IX is $8.39. Now, Final Fantasy VIII is kind of the black sheep of the Final Fantasy series. I still enjoyed it. It had some weird mechanics, but I still thought overall it's a game that if you're super into Final Fantasy, you should check it out. And then Final Fantasy
IX, obviously an all-time classic. This game is revered. There's rumblings of a remake happening. A remake maybe not at the level of FF7, but still going to be something to keep an eye on. But if you've been eyeing to play Final Fantasy IX, it's a literal all-time classic. A lot of people consider this to be their favorite Final Fantasy game, even over 7, 10, 16 for some people now. I don't know if that's like crazy to say 16's at the level of the best Final Fantasies ever. 4, of course, is up there. I know people love 6, but nonetheless, Final Fantasy IX, $839, great price point there as well. Next up, I mean, 99.9% of you already own this, but Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is 75% off for $9.99. Let's just shoehorn in talking about the complete edition, because guess what? Spending $2.50 more to get Blood and Wine and Hearts of Stone is just a steal, so you should definitely go that route for the under $10 sake. It is, the base game is under 10, but Witcher 3 is awesome. One of my favorite games of all time. I've talked about this game ad nauseum, like literally a ridiculous amount of times, and yeah, visually still looks fantastic. They even, obviously, they upgraded it for PS5 and Series recently, and that kind of caused the price point, the sale price point, to go up. Thankfully, it's now back down to $12.49 on sale. It used to be that the base game would go down to $7.99 and the complete edition would be $9.99. So we're not quite back to the initial price threshold, but still, this is a bargain for the quality of game you're getting, and don't really need to sell you guys much more on that. Next up, we got Halo, the Master Chief Collection, $9.99. Obviously, this is just a fantastic deal for what you're getting. Like, you're getting Halo Reach, you're getting Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo 3 ODST, always missed that, but Halo 3 ODST as well. Just an absolute stacked lineup of titles, and I would strongly recommend it. And all of that for $9.99 is just a steal, and I would strongly recommend it. Get some friends to pick it up as well, and you can go through it together. Obviously on Game Pass, but for $9.99, man, like, have this in your library. Just all that content, classic Halo titles. And I'm not even like the craziest fan of Halo. Like, I like Halo for sure, but you know, I'm not like some people where they live and die by Halo, and even then, you look at the value you get for $10, this is crazy. But yeah, definitely go check that out. Next up, Skyrim Special Edition, 80% off for $7.99. Again, something most of you guys should own. Maybe a lot of you guys have the standard release of Skyrim and you want to go with Skyrim Special Edition. $8 is great, and I love Skyrim, so obviously it's going to be a game that I constantly recommend, and maybe you guys are a little bit sick of that, but nonetheless, thought I would mention that. And lastly, Monster Hunter World, 67% off for $9.89. An awesome, awesome action RPG. Monster Hunter is a bit of a grind. There's a lot of content and a lot to do in the game, and this is the base game. Capcom did a phenomenal job of, even after this game coming out, they kept it consistently updated. Now, they did release, most of the updates were free, but they did release a paid expansion in Iceborne. You can get Monster Hunter World Iceborne Master Edition, which includes the base game as well as the expansion. That's $19.78. If you don't want the expansion, that's fine. The base game is still going to offer you an insane amount of content. Obviously, at this point, Capcom is hard at work on the next mainline Monster Hunter game, Monster Hunter Wilds, which was officially confirmed at the Video Game Awards. If you want to know why people are so excited for it, playing through Monster Hunter World is going to be a pretty good way to understand why people love these games. Some great, great battles and a lot of depth to its gameplay, a lot of replayability as well. And yeah, they did a tremendous job with it, and hopefully with Wilds, I think it's already confirmed, but it'll have a day-and-date release on PC, where World did have like a 7-month turnaround. It came out on consoles first, then it came out on PC. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals under the price of $10, but even then, this is really just scratching the surface. Some of these deals are great though. Jedi Fallen Order, Mass Effect Legendary Edition especially, that deal is just insane. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, and as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. The Steam winter sale rolls on, and there's a lot of great deals. We covered deals under $10 yesterday. Now time for some deals under $5. Let's just get right into it because there's so much to cover, and as always, links to all of the deals will be in the description box below. But right off the top, Castle Crashers. What a great co-op title. 70% off for $4.49. Castle Crashers is one of those games I feel like has the holiday spirit absolutely entrenched in it. Like a game that is just a kickback, relax kind of game where you and your friends jump in together and have a good time with it. That's the game that Castle Crashers really embodies. A fun 2D beat 'em up title with a great cartoony art style that has aged just kind of gracefully over the last decade plus it's been out for. But very much this is a game I recommend you to pick up if you do have friends to play with. I know friends these days are hard to come by, but I'm sure you guys can find some. And if you can have a co-op adventure through Castle Crashers with a group of people, you're just gonna have a much better time. Like, Castle Crashers is one of those games I really don't think you can enjoy solo. But yeah, for this price point at $4.49, I think it's a great pickup. Get a couple of your buddies to pick it up as well, and you can have a great time together. So definitely check that out. And that's one of those games that if you go through it with a couple friends, you'll go through it every couple of years with those friends and have a good time. Like, it's one of those games I'll go back to every 3 to 5 years, and we'll go through a run of that. But definitely check that out. Next up, another co-op title, A Way Out, is 85% off for $4.49. Done by Hazelight. Hazelight is a studio that has really carved out a niche for themselves as the studio that creates these really compelling co-op only games, and A Way Out is exclusively a co-op adventure where you play the role of one of two prisoners. It's a shorter game, but it's a very, very engaging game from a narrative standpoint. Twists and turns, and I thought it was executed fairly well. If you have yet to check it out, definitely do so. And again, this is one that co-op is at the heart of it. I mean, co-op is necessary for this game. It's literally like you have to play a co-op, but if you buy the game, you can invite a friend to play with you, and it's a really, really well done co-op title. Most people would probably agree it's not as good as It Takes Two, but still very good in its own right. For this price point, again, I think it's a worthwhile pickup, so definitely go check that out. Next up, we got Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, 85% off for $4.49. Done by an incredibly talented studio in Ninja Theory, and Ninja Theory, I'm sure, will be mentioned in this sale quite a bit because they developed one game called Enslaved: Odyssey to the West that I know you guys are sick of me talking about, but nonetheless, they also did DMC Devil May Cry, and they are currently working on a sequel to Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice and Hellblade 2. Hellblade is an incredibly atmospheric, psychological action game, and I remember leading up to the release of this game, I had seen gameplay, and I was just like, yo, this game looks really mediocre. And then it came out, and boy, was I dumb. To be fair, a lot of people thought it looked kind of mediocre leading into its release, but man, when this game came out, it told an incredibly engaging tale, and then on top of that, the atmosphere in this game is so strong, it's so dark in tone. They just executed a really solid game, and it is a shorter game. It was priced at $29.99 when it came out. It looks like Hellblade 2 will be a full-fledged, big budget title, but it'll be available on Game Pass, so take that for what you will. But, yeah, $4.49 for Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Awesome deal. Strong recommendation if you have yet to play it. Next up, we got Firewatch, 75% off for $4.99. This game came out back in February of 2016, and this is very much another atmospheric, light on the action gameplay. There is no action gameplay. It's very much driven by its story, and, it will be seen as this, like, walking sim style game, but it's a single-player first-person mystery with a gorgeous art style. And I remember when this game came out, there was a lot of talk around it, and there were people on various camps as far as their reception of this game. Some people thought it was a really well executed story, other people thought it was super short, no gameplay, etc., etc. But I think it's a game that everybody should at least go through, and man, that art style is so great. Kind of a tranquil game as well. If you just want to chill out and play a game, I think Firewatch is a really good one, so $4.99 for that, I would definitely give it a look. Next up, we got Dead Space 2, 75% off for $4.99. Who knows? This game might get a remake, so if you're of the mindset that Dead Space 2 is going to get a remake, maybe wait for it. But man, I thought Dead Space 2 was awesome. Dare I say I thought Dead Space 2 was better than Dead Space 1? I don't know if a lot of people agree with me on that, but I thought Dead Space 2 was absolutely awesome. Obviously, Dead Space 1 got the full-on remake, and Dead Space 2 still rings true on those horror elements that are really, really well done. The action gameplay is great, and just an incredible action horror title. The actual horror elements by the latter portion of the game, that kind of does subside, and you kind of play it as for what it is, more of the action approach, but I still thought Dead Space 2 was great, and for $5, I think that's a no-brainer. Great pickup there, so check that out, and definitely do check out the Dead Space remake as well. That's like $24, but it is available on EA Access. Next up, Assassin's Creed 2, 75% off for $4.99. Really, there's a ton of Assassin's Creed games on sale that are sub $5, but why not recommend Assassin's Creed 2? I mean, that's a tried and true, easy one to recommend. Assassin's Creed 2, I think to a lot of you guys watching this video that have played it, quite possibly one of your favorite games of all time. I would probably put Assassin's Creed 2 in that mix. I mean, I liked Assassin's Creed 4 better. It seems like AC2 is the one that everybody loves as their favorite, and Ezio is obviously an iconic main character. Everybody loves Ezio. He got his own damn trilogy. As much as I love Edward, Edward didn't get his own trilogy. And AC2 is just a fantastic game. Brotherhood and Revelations are certainly worthwhile playing. Brotherhood especially. By Revelations, I thought Ezio kind of overstayed his welcome, but it's still pretty good. But AC2 is awesome. Obviously, give that a playthrough. It is an excellent game, especially at this price point of $4.99. Next up, Final Fantasy VII OG, 60% off for $4.79. You know, FF7's a classic, and I know FF7 has a full-on remake, but guess what? Remake Intergrade covers the first, 25% of the game, and we do know that, you know, the story's getting kind of crazy, and FF7 is going to stand the test of time as its own, as its own game. There's no worry about that. You can play both and have a great time with both. What I would recommend you with FF7, Echo S, guys, phenomenal mod to the game. Adding full voice acting to the game, and the voice acting, the team that did this voice acting for Final Fantasy, they crushed it. I was shocked when I first discovered this Echo S mod. That group, they crushed it from voice acting Final Fantasy VII, and it's literally every line in the game is voice acted. Visual upgrades are available. Man, that mod is just so great, and kudos to the team that put that out, because it's fantastic. Kind of goes to show how iconic of a game FF7 is when you have a group of people voice acting the entire thing. As a fan mod, but just so well done, and the game itself is obviously great. Cloud, one of the most iconic characters of all time. Story is very good, and a lot of secrets and things of that nature. Make sure you get Vincent in your playthrough as well, because he is missable, and Vincent's the GOAT, so obviously, go do that, but $4.79 for FF7, great deal there. Next up, Wolfenstein: The New Order, 75% off for $4.99. Really solid first-person shooter. Wolfenstein does get kind of wacky from its storytelling, but I still think from a gameplay standpoint, it's fantastic. Alternate history. Yeah, really well done game, and definitely play this, play New Colossus, and a lot of good stuff from Wolfenstein as a whole. Machine Games, the studio, they're actually working on the Indiana Jones game, so hopefully that turns out fairly well. Next up, a couple of Tales of titles. Want to give a shout out to both Tales of Zestria and Tales of Berseria. Both $5 a pop. Now, Zestria is without a doubt the weaker of the two games. Tales of Zestria is honestly one of the weakest, probably the weakest Tales of game. You know, there's some ones like Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of the New World, but Zestria on PC, the PC release of Zestria is probably the weakest one. That being said, Tales of is such a consistent franchise that Zestria is still a pretty decent game. Some of the story elements and characters aren't as strong as the other titles, but it's still a decent JRPG to go through. Definitely wouldn't be my first recommendation as far as which Tales of title to start with. Berseria, on the other hand, is fantastic. Has a phenomenal main character in Velvet, she is very different than most JRPG main characters. Yeah, just a really well done game from a story standpoint. Gameplay's good, and yeah, for $5, this is a great pickup. Definitely check out Berseria, check out Zestria at some point. Vesperia is really good, Arise is really good. Just Tales of is a super consistent franchise, and I'm sure we'll hear more about Tales of as far as their next outing. Fingers crossed for a Tales of the Abyss remake, not a remaster, a full-on remake. I'm sure they won't do that because they just go the lazy remaster route, but man, Tales of Abyss is so awesome that we need that game on modern platforms, and I would love for it to be a full-on remake, but we'll see if that ultimately does happen. I doubt it. I bet you we get the Symphonia treatment, and it's just an HD upgrade. Next up, we got Talos Principle. Very compelling puzzle game with some really well done puzzles. Talos Principle 2 just came out, and that game has been received incredibly well. Great sci-fi aesthetic to the game. Visuals are really solid, and this is a game that's almost a decade old, 9 years old, a little over 9 years old, but, you know, inching closer to a decade. Really well done puzzle game where the puzzles aren't crazy, but they're also rewarding enough that I found it interesting, and I'm dumb as hell when it comes to puzzles, so if I could do it, you can do it as well. $4.49 for Talos Principle, great price there. Next up, we got Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, 85% off for $4.49. I played Need for Speed Hot Pursuit when it initially came out back in 2010, and I loved the game. As an arcade racer, it was fantastic. Just really embodied that fun out of an arcade racer, and Need for Speed at its height. Hot Pursuit Remastered, this remaster isn't anything to write home about, but as far as an arcade racer goes, for $4.50, this is a great deal. Next up, we got Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, 75% off for $4.99. A tremendous game by Moon Studios, and just incredible from a visual standpoint. Metroidvania style game, gameplay's really good, soundtrack's really good, and man, that art style is just tremendous. And when did Ori and the Blind Forest came out? It's been a while. I want to say it's like 2013, 2014. It was an Xbox One game, so Xbox One was 2013, so sometime in 2013, 2014, I would imagine, was when it initially came out, but yeah, it still holds up incredibly well. Will of the Wisps is obviously something you should check out as well, a follow-up to Blind Forest, so play Blind Forest first, but
nonetheless, great deal there. Next up, we got Deus Ex Mankind Divided, 85% off for $449. Certainly play Human Revolution first, and Human Revolution I do think is the superior game, but Mankind Divided is still pretty good as a cyberpunk action RPG. I just think it kind of falters from a narrative standpoint. Also had a lot of performance issues at launch, but you know, from a narrative standpoint, it leaves me wanting a lot more. Let's put it lightly like that. And the game itself, from a gameplay standpoint, I thought was really well executed. And Adam Jensen, I love the main character. He's great, and we need more of him. And rumbling is that there is a Deus Ex game in early development, so fingers crossed that comes out in my lifetime. But yeah, $449 for Mankind Divided, good price there. And lastly, we got Saints Row the Third, 50% off for $4.99. The full package is $7.49 if you want to check that out. Over-the-top open-world game with a lot of comedy, not to be taken too seriously, but this is probably Saints Row at its peak and how people like to remember Saints Row after the atrocity that was Saints Row 2022. And that was a game that I didn't even hate as much as most people, but let's be real. Saints Row the Third is really what took Saints Row to the next level. And I know a lot of people love Saints Row 1 and 2, so no slight on those games either, but nonetheless, the third for $5, great price there. But that is going to do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals across the board with the Steam Winter Sale. Links to all of these deals, as always, will be in the description box below. Let me know what you guys have picked up thus far, buying games for the Winter Sale. Are you taking it easy and not buying anything at all? Which certainly I don't think is a bad idea. Always a good idea to save some money and play the games in your backlog. I know some of you guys got 46,000 games in your backlog, so, yeah, go tackle that before you make it 46,002 games in your backlog. But, yeah, that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and thanks for all the support, man. These videos have been crushing it recently, and, you guys seem to always love the sale coverage, and I know it's a lot of retread with the same games. I know some of you guys get upset with that, but, I'm one man trying to play these games, and at the end of the day, I can't play every game under the sun, especially with 8 billion games coming out every week. I try to keep up with the stuff that's actually coming out, and then you're talking about the games of old, but yeah, you guys get the idea. I feel like most of you guys are pretty understanding, but I do get the criticism, but it is what it is. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. The Steam's winter sale continues on. We've done deals under 5 as well as under 10. Now it's time to look at deals under $3, and even at the under $3 range. And really at any range on Steam, you're gonna find some pretty great deals. There's a lot of good stuff under $3. So let's get right into it. Right off the top, a couple of Arcane Studios titles. Prey is 90% off for $2.99. We'll start off with this. I think this is a great game. This was done by the Arcane team that also did Redfall, and Prey is without a doubt, so much of a better game. It's unfortunate. I get the thinking from Bethesda on why they wanted this Arcane team to work on a game like Redfall. They definitely wanted... They had these grandiose ambitions of Redfall being this game that they could monetize for years and years, and that's really what they were going for a while. Don't let Bethesda fool you. They really tried that live service gimmick as well, but, not to go on a diatribe about that. Prey was an awesome single-player atmospheric title, and guess what? This game did commercially, from what I know, underperform, so I guess from a monetary standpoint, you gotta do what you gotta do, but in retrospect, this game was so awesome, and I had often said that it was the most underrated game of 2017, and it's still one of the most underrated games of the last decade. It is just a fantastic first-person title with an incredible atmosphere, a solid narrative, great visuals, and the tone of the game is just really strong. For $2.99, this is just highway robbery, and yeah, definitely check that out. And highway robbery will be my term when I think a deal is just so good, you have to check it out. Next up, we got Dishonored 1 and 2. Highway robberies on these as well. 75% off for $2.49 on Dishonored 1, and then 90% off for $2.99 on Dishonored 2. Dishonored is awesome, and I played Dishonored when it initially came out. To give you guys an idea of, when I picked up Dishonored, it came out back in 2012, but I vividly remember going to my local Target at the time and buying a physical copy of Dishonored. It was just a box with a Steam key in it, but yeah, who's going to stores and buying physical PC games anymore? That's a thing of the past. Dishonored 1 is awesome, and I love the art style. It's got this darker look. It's not like a technical masterclass by any stretch of the imagination, but I think the art direction is really good, and even though it's,
11 years old at this point, it still looks pretty engaging visually. Again, it's not a technical masterclass, but I think the art style is really great, and the gameplay style, you can play it stealthy, you can play it action heavy, a lot of replayability as well. Just a really, really well done game, and for $249, great deal here. And then Dishonored 2, 90% off for $299. Obviously, play the game sequentially, play Dishonored 1 first, and then play Dishonored 2, but Dishonored 2 is great as well. You've got 2 playable characters, Emily or Corvo, and yeah, that leads to this having a bit of replayability as well, and I thought Dishonored 2 was really well done as well. I know some people don't like it as much as Dishonored 1, but I still thought it was pretty darn good, and for $3 again, just a bargain of a deal. Next up, we got Undertale, 70% off for $299. Nice to see, like, Undertale get this cheap. For a while, it was holding up in price, but now $3, it's a fantastic pickup. A really, really engaging story with a lot of depth to it, tackling some interesting thematics as well. Obviously, it's a throwback RPG, so if you're familiar with games from the Super Nintendo era, like, that's really the type of vibe it's going for, but I understand if that is something that immediately pushes you away. You know, if you can't get past that, it is what it is, but if you can, you still can find a game with some great writing, a lot of depth to its characters, and just an engaging RPG all around. For $299, this is a great deal. You can even get the Undertale game and soundtrack bundle for $539, which is a decent deal as well if you want the soundtrack. I don't know how many people are buying soundtracks on Steam, but nevertheless, $3 for the base game is great. Next up, Just Cause 3 is down to $2.99. What a great deal for Just Cause 3, which is, in fact, one of the worst PC ports in my memory of PC gaming. The Just Cause 3's PC version was an abomination. An abomination would be putting it pretty lightly. But at this point, we're 8 years removed from the release of the game, which is wild to think about. Like, 8 years gone by, just like that. But, yeah, at this point, Just Cause 3 runs pretty well, and it is an over-the-top open-world title. What I always say about Just Cause as a franchise, and Just Cause 3 as a whole, and Just Cause 3 especially, if you want an open-world game that's just absolute chaos, mayhem, destructibility, just absolute pure fun, Just Cause always does a good offer in doing that. Are you gonna get an engaging story? No. The story of Rico Rodriguez is not an emotional tale that is going to leave you moving by the end of the game, but yeah, from a gameplay standpoint, it doesn't get much better than Just Cause, and Avalanche does a great job with it, and Just Cause 3 for $3, great deal there. Next up, we got Outlast, 85% off for $299, a great horror game that I imagine the majority of you have played, but if for whatever reason, for this year, during Christmas, you want to just play a really scary game, or you just want to get a family member that's not into video games to get completely tripped up and just question your sanity as far as why you play games, Outlast is a pretty decent one. It's a very, very immersive horror game with a great ambiance, great atmosphere, and definitely a little bit dark. I remember when Outlast initially came out, like, this game, to me, as far as the horror games I had played up to this point, like, Outlast was one that I felt like pushed the envelope a little bit, and was definitely a little jarring to see some of the stuff go on in Outlast. Now, I've gotten kind of used to it, but when I played Outlast, it was a little bit on the wild side for me, as far as what I had experienced up to that point. It is a game that's relatively short, so keep that in mind, but $3 is a great price on that. Next up, would it be a deals video by Mush if I didn't mention Witcher 2 Assassins of King's Enhanced Edition is 85% off for $299. I loved Witcher 2. I thought it was a great game. Yes, it's not as open as Witcher 3. It's not this vast open world, more of a contained experience, but it still works out very well, and dare I say, like, 12 years since this game has come out, almost 13, we're coming up on 13 years since The Witcher 2, that's actually insane to think about. The game still looks pretty damn good visually. Like, sometimes you look at these games from 2010, 2011, and some of them have just aged, like, really well and still look pretty damn good. I feel like Witcher 2 is one of those games. Let me know if you guys think I'm wrong, and I gotta go back and play Witcher 2 again here at some point, and that would probably lead me to playing Witcher 3 again. You know, do I really want to spend that kind of time right now? Probably not, but for those of you that have yet to play Witcher 2, a lot of you guys played Witcher 3 and didn't play Witcher 2, go back and play Witcher 2. Witcher 1 is the one that I'm just like, that game is a little bit hard for me personally to go back and play. It shows its age for sure. you know, they are going to remake that game, so that's pretty exciting. But for now, Witcher 2, $3, great deal on that. Next up, another game that I often recommend, Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, 85% off for $2.99. This is a great open world action title that some people, I often say this, but I disagree with it. GTA in Hong Kong, definitely not that. It's more of a contained open world. It's more focused on its narrative and storytelling. It's got that crime aspect to it, a great main character, great hand-to-hand combat as well, a good amount of gameplay, and low-key, a banger of a soundtrack as well. Sleeping Dogs doesn't get the love for its soundtrack, but I think it's got a great soundtrack in there as well. $2.99 is awesome, and it's a game that I've completed several times at this point, and every, 2 to 3 years, I'll think about doing another Sleeping Dogs playthrough, and the last one I did, I think, was 2021, so the time's coming up for me to do another Sleeping Dogs playthrough. And that might be coming up shortly, maybe next summer when the game releases die down, because it definitely ain't happening early into 24. Next up, we got Tomb Raider 2013. It is 80% off for $2.99. You guys know how I feel about the Tomb Raider games since the reboot. I think these games are absolutely fantastic. Tomb Raider 2013 kicks off the origin story of Lara Croft, and yeah, just find Tomb Raider so much better than what it was in the past. I had no attachment towards the Tomb Raider games pre-Tomb Raider 2013, but man, Tomb Raider 2013 and then Rise of the Tomb Raider especially has really made this one of my favorite franchises in all of gaming, and hopefully Crystal Dynamics and whoever's involved do a good job with the next Tomb Raider game. Still probably a ways away till we get that, which, it kind of sucks since we were getting these Tomb Raider games super consistently. 2013 for Tomb Raider, then Rise of the Tomb Raider was 2015, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider was 2018, and now we're already 5 years removed, and we have yet to get another Tomb Raider game. It is what it is, but hopefully that'll be coming in maybe 2025 or something like that. Next up, we got Sonic Adventure 2, 75% off for $2.49. Love Sonic Adventure 2. It's a classic, and, it's a game that a lot of people are super nostalgic with, as am I. I grew up playing this game, remember putting just absolute hours into Chow Garden, all that good stuff. Sonic Adventure 2 is fantastic. Great soundtrack here as well, and a good platformer all in all. This is Sonic really at its absolute apex, so Adventure 2 at $2.49, great deal there. Moonlighter is 85% off for $2.99. This is an interesting game where it combines elements of a shopkeeping game and a roguelite action RPG. It's a really unique game with a throwback art style that I think looks really good. Decent soundtrack here as well, and for $3, pretty good pickup. And then lastly, The Evil Within is 85% off for $2.99. Tango Gameworks did a really good job with this as a survival horror title. Pretty good story. Gameplay is fine, like it's nothing blow away, but it's it's acceptable. Like that's how I would describe the gameplay in The Evil Within, and you're getting into this for the tone, the atmosphere, but those elements I think are the most important of a survival horror game, and I feel like Evil Within did a pretty good job with that. $3 is pretty good, and then you can get the bundle with the DLC for $5 if you do just want to get that. But that'll do it for me. Again, a ton of great deals available right now across Steam, and obviously other e-tailers as well, but focusing on the Steam deals here, and a lot of great stuff under $3. That's gonna do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Yo, what's going on, guys? Bush back at it with another video covering the Steam winter sale. We have done under 10, under 5, under 3, and now one step further, under $2 games. And Steam is just loaded that even if you go under $2, there's like a billion games you can pick up. So we've got a decent bit, but as the previous videos and as I've been mentioning, barely scratching the surface. So let's get right into it. Let's start things off with Mirror's Edge and Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Mirror's Edge 2008, actually, it released in January of 2009 on PC. Back then on PC, you were getting a lot of delayed releases, but Mirror's Edge, the original, I thought was a fantastic game. I love the parkour gameplay. I know a lot of people did like their pacifist playthroughs and things like that. The game was just really well done. Back in the day, I do know people had their issues with it being $60, being like a 7-hour game, or however long it was. I know people had various playtimes. I think a lot of people have finished it way quicker than that. But nonetheless, now you're paying $2. It's a super unique game. There's really not a lot of games out there like it, and it's a really well-designed game, and I enjoyed it. And I
I even enjoyed Catalyst. Did I think it was at the level of Mirror's Edge 08? No, but I still thought it was a pretty decent game, especially when you're paying $1.99 for it. Yeah, I would say, hell yeah, check it out. The visuals in this game still hold up really well, and it's not like it's super old or anything like that. It's 7.5 years old, but yeah, it looks very, very good from a visual standpoint. But $1.99 for that, great pickup there as well. Next up, we have Murdered Soul Suspect, 90% off for $1.99. Now, this was actually published by Square Enix, and I remember for whatever reason, I don't know what possessed me at the time, but I spent like full price on this game. I guess I just thought, back in 2014, like you're talking about me being like 17 years old, and I don't have money like that, but for some reason, I decided, yo, I got $50 to spend on Murdered Soul Suspect, and for some reason I did it. Is it worth $50? Absolutely not. But for $1.99, it is worth it. It's a really, really interesting narrative-driven mystery title. Not super lengthy, has some supernatural elements, but the ambiance of the game is really strong and has some cool thematics to it. I would not pay anything more than like $5 for it, but for $1.99, I would say check it out. I think it's a game that a lot of you guys are going to find rather interesting. Very, very much focused on like exploration and whatnot, so don't expect anything super action-heavy, but for $1.99, pretty good there. Next up, we got the Orange Box, 90% off for $1.99. You got Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Episode 2, Portal, and Team Fortress 2. Well, Team Fortress 2 is in there, but it's a free-to-play game, as you guys know. Really, you're getting Half-Life 2, Episode 1 and 2, and then Portal. I wanted to mention the Orange Box because, like, this is just so iconic. Like, obviously, if you want the Valve stuff, I would just get the Valve Complete Pack. How much is that? $14.33. You get that. You get a Half-Life Complete for $3.94. But yeah, Half-Life 2 is awesome, and you get more content there as well. Portal 1 is awesome as well. Maybe we'll get a Half-Life 3 before we call it in this lifetime of ours, but who knows if that'll be happening. Next up, we got Prince of Persia 2008, 80% off for $1.99. Also, let's give a shout out to Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. This is 80% off for $1.99. These are wildly different games, so, you know, Prince of Persia 2008, I really enjoyed. Now, the game is, like, just insanely easy. This is one of the easiest games you'll ever play, but you really don't play it for like the difficulty in its action gameplay. You play it for the awesome visual style, this watercolor look that is just aged incredibly gracefully. I thought the game was really good. I thought the story was decent. I thought the platforming was actually pretty good. Combat is fine, but it is a super easy game. But I think from a visual standpoint, it's aesthetically so pleasing that for $1.99 it's pretty good. And then Sands of Time is $1.99. Yo, kiss the dreams of the remake goodbye. Okay, to be perfectly honest, fingers crossed that it actually comes to fruition, you know, but I don't have a lot of high hopes for that, and Ubisoft with games going in development hell, you've seen stuff like Beyond Good and Evil 2, you've seen stuff like Skull and Bones, which actually is finally coming out. I mean, it's coming out in February, and it seems like that has disaster written all over it, but we'll see how that turns out. Sands of Time is a classic, and a lot of people consider it to be the best Prince of Persia game ever released. Obviously, a bit dated at this point, but still, for $1.99, I think it's worth a look. Next up, we have Playdead's Inside, 90% off for $1.99. Playdead also did Limbo, another incredibly dark, atmospheric platformer, a puzzle platformer. It's a really, really well-designed game. It is obviously darker in terms of ambiance and style, but a really well-made game. For $1.99, I think it's great, and I feel like Inside gets less love than Limbo. Like, I feel like everybody and their mother has played Limbo, but Inside, I feel like that's not the case, but definitely do check it out. I believe one of the main developers for Inside also recently put out Cocoon, and Cocoon has been received really, really strongly. That's on my to-playlist, but I'll get around to that eventually. Inside, $1.99 on that. Next up, Hotline Miami, 80% off for $1.99. Over the top, throwback action here. Pixel graphics, great soundtrack. Bloody as all hell, but it's pixel blood, so, like, I don't know. Like, you guys can deem that how you want to, but $1.99 for Hotline Miami is awesome, and certainly an easy recommendation, and a game you can just pop in and have a good time with. I mean, maybe that is kind of ridiculous to say, given the style of game that Hotline Miami is, but really a game you don't have to take too seriously, and one that has an incredible presentation style and really enjoyable from a gameplay standpoint. Next up, we got Just Cause 2, 90% off for $1.49, following a similar tone to Hotline Miami in the sense of a game you don't have to take too seriously and you can jump in and just create some chaos. Just Cause 2, certainly not as good as Just Cause 3. It's a little bit dated in that sense, given that it did come out all the way back in 2010. Just Cause 3 was December of 2015, I want to say, so Just Cause 2 a little bit older than that, so it does show its age, but as an open-world, over-the-top action game, still pretty decent, especially at this price of $1.49. Next up, we got Metro 2033, Redux, also Metro Last Light Redux, both awesome single-player atmospheric first-person shooters. These games are just tremendous in terms of their atmosphere, their aesthetic, their visuals, incredibly engrossing from a narrative standpoint. The gameplay is fine, it's nothing blow away, but sound design, visuals, storytelling, those elements are just so well done. Redux versions also improve the visuals and whatnot, so definitely quite good for $1.99. Next up, we have Alice Madness Returns, 90% off for $1.99 as well. This game recently got pulled from Steam for a little bit. Seemed like that was an error or some licensing issues or whatnot. I played this way back when it came out, and I remember enjoying it as an action platformer. Definitely a darker tone on this one as well, but as an action game, and especially for this cheap, I think that might be something a lot of you guys find fascinating to check out. And then lastly, I do want to give a shout to Need for Speed Most Wanted. A lot of the Need for Speed games a little bit more expensive, you know, at that $3 to $5 range. I mean, that's what we're calling most expensive, or more expensive in this, in the climate of these Steam sales. But Most Wanted I thought was really good. Obviously, taking the name of the iconic Need for Speed Most Wanted, it's not similar in that regard, but it's an open world arcade racer, decent bit of content, and remembered enjoying this quite a bit as well. I actually played this on the PlayStation 3, then I played the PlayStation Vita version as well, believe it or not, and then I also played it on PC, so really ran the gamut of playing this game on various platforms, but as a racing game, it was fine. And if you're looking for a decent arcade racer for $1.99, like at this price point, I think it's a decent pickup. But you really can't go wrong with a lot of the Need for Speed games that are on sale. Like Heat, I actually think is the best deal, given the price point, the Heat Deluxe Edition. But yeah, Most Wanted at $1.99, not a bad price there either. But that will be doing it for me. Again, the Steam sale has been loaded with a lot of great deals here. We looked at deals under $2, so super cheap if you just have a couple bucks left in your wallet. But that's going to do it for me. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.